Welcome to a new episode of my home automation, OpenHAB and Node-RED series. As you can probably tell from the picture, I have a Sonoff again, and I have some programming cables or programming USB adapter. So I will be flashing Sonoff again, and this time I'm going to be testing the ESPurna firmware. I hope I pronounced it correctly. I've done some videos on ESPs in the past, and they've been fairly successful. But I think I should be looking at different firmwares because some people have different preferences, and this is yet another firmware which is quite popular and also quite popular for Sonoffs. So I have, I'm going to use a Sonoff that I've purchased earlier. So I also believe that Sonoff has released a newer version of their device, even the Sonoff Basic, and they have a different chip. So this video is applicable for the ones which are the original version, and I have the ESP8266 chips on it. And if I can bring it to focus, yeah, it's a nice sunny day. So if your Sonoff looks like this, yeah, you will be able to flash it. By the way, there is a Sonoff sort of like cheat sheet document, and I'm going to place the link of that into the video description. Since I will be covering things like using an ftdi programmer and soldering the header pins, I don't want to include that in every single video, so I have like a Sonoff or like an ESP flashing or programming reference video. Again, you will find the card to that appearing on the screen now. So if you need any of those basics, watch that video first. First, let me bring out that Sonoff cheat sheet document that I was talking about that you can see on the screen. And so the reason I wanted to show this, because to start programming the Sonoff, you need to solder these pin headers, which I have done now. So these 5 pads here, sort of like vertical on the board, if you hold it like this, so just under the button. So you need to solder that, and we are going to connect the ftdi programmer. And the connections are, so if you hold it like this with a button on the top, then you have 3.3 volts on the top, and then you have TX and RX, actually RX and TX, and the last one is ground, and the 5th pin we are not using at the moment. So that's all the connection that needs to be done. So the same pins on the ftdi programmer needs to be connected to the pins there, and now we need to connect it to the USB of the laptop. The laptop is here, yeah. And to go into programming mode, you have to hold down the button on the Sonoff when you are plugging it in. And it's a little bit tricky with this long button, but so make sure that you actually press it. You should hear the click, and then plug, and then you can let it go. And then when you let it go, you also can feel the click, just to make sure that it was really pushed when you were doing that. Now we need to download the firmware, and just go into Google, open your browser, and look for ESPurna. And the top link should be the project link from bitbucket.org. And if you come here, you click on downloads, and then you can see all the different firmwares. And these firmwares, the firmware files, the bin files, are actually released for all the different devices that this firmware supports. So, and if you scroll down, you can see all the different Sonoffs. And now we are going to use the Sonoff Basic. And as you can see at the recording of this video, the current version is 1.9.9. And since I've started looking at the firmware, probably in the last 4 weeks, they have released like probably 3 or 4 different versions in that short space. So if you are, flashing multiple devices, just, check if there is a newer version available. So I think I started 196 and a couple of weeks ago, and now it's 199 already. So click on the ESPurna 199 or whatever version you have. I teach sonoffbasic.bin, and wait until it downloads. For the next steps, we need a few things. So first of all, I've created a folder where to which I've copied the bin file that I've just downloaded. I also need an ESP Tool.exe. I'm going to put the link in the video description. So again, you need a bin file, you need an ESP tool, and you also need a command line in the same directory, so we can start flashing. So now we have the Sonoff connected, and then we push the button when we plugged it in. So now we can issue the command which is going to flash the ESP, and for that we have to type this one, which you can see on the screen now. So it's the ESP Tool.exe -vv and -cd nodemcu -cb 115200 -cp com7. So that's the COM port of your the programmer that you have plugged in. And if you're not sure about what COM port you're using, you can go to the device manager, and then under COM port you can see I'm using this one, which has a CP120X serial chip, so I know it's sitting on COM7. And then you have this -CA0X and then 5 zeros and then -CF, and that's the file name of the bin file, the firmware file that we have downloaded. So I'm using the version 199, and you can see here that I've started 1967 and now it's 199. So that should be it. Press enter and wait for the flash to start. And again, if this doesn't happen for you, you might have swapped the RX and the TX lines over. So just unplug, swap these two wires over, and then start again. So it's going to take about probably half a minute. You can see the progress on the screen, and then when it's 100%, then obviously we'll be done. Okay, now it is complete, and as you can see, it's saying here in the screen that starting the app without reboot means that it's actually now started the firmware. And if you look at your ESP, you can see that the status LED is blinking, which means that the firmware is in setup mode. And if you look at your wireless networks, you should see a wireless network called Sonoff Basic and some code at the end, which means that it is in setup and now it's waiting to be configured. So we will follow pretty much the same step what we have seen in ESP Easy. So we need to connect to that wireless network, go into the settings, do the basic configuration, and then it should be ready to use. But some people reported that they had issues doing these steps while connected to the ftdi programmer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unplug this, put it back into the case, connect it to the mains power, and then finish the setup process like that. Now with the Sonoff reassembled in its case, it's powered. You can see that the LED is, the status LED is blinking again. And by the way, because this firmware is specifically, well, the bin file that we have downloaded is specifically compiled for this Sonoff, it already knows that it has a status LED and it has a button. So just like with the original firmware, even without doing the basic setup, if you use the button, you can toggle the relay. So that's all, that logic is done within the firmware itself. So now what we need to do is we need to connect to the network that the Sonoff creates. And first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect my local network, because I guess it depends on the computers, but the Wi-Fi that obviously the Sonoff creates is not going to have internet connection. So sometimes devices tend to switch back to the network, the preferred network, which gives internet connection. But if you untick the connect automatically, then it's not going to happen. By the way, I don't know if it's me, but this is not the first Sonoff that I flashed with ESP Easy, and for some reason when I try to follow the setup process on my Android phone or my iPad, there were some steps which I couldn't go through, but it always worked on my laptop. So I'm doing this on my laptop, and if you can, then probably you should follow the same steps on your laptop as well. So let's connect to the Sonoff network, and unfortunately I don't have this document up and ready anymore, but so I'm not connected to the network, so I won't be able to refresh the screen, but there are some documentation here which takes you through the setup process. And the first one is that when you connect to the Sonoff network, the password is Fibonacci. Fibonacci. So it's like that. Okay, so it's done. We are connected. So now we can open Internet Explorer or Chrome or whatever, and then go to the following address: http://192.168.4.1. Oh, sorry. Not HTTPS, just simple HTTP. Okay, you can see that it's already showing ESPurna, and now we need a user ID and a password, and it's admin, and the password is Fibonacci. And now you need to provide your own admin password, so type it in twice and then click on update. And that was the step which for some reason I couldn't do on my phone, so I just hit update and nothing happened. So now it says that the change is saved, so that's fine. Okay, now it's going to ask for your admin, the new admin password again, and you are in the configurations page. You can turn the relay on and off from here, obviously, and you can see some of the basic data here. So let's start setting this up. So the first one as the status page. Now we go to the general, so you can change the host name, and you can specify what the state of the relay should be when it boots up. And then the pulse mode it's actually also quite interesting, is when you enable that, you can set a pulse time, and the relay would turn automatically off after a set amount of time, so it can be used as an off delay. Otherwise, normally you just send one, you like push the button and it turns on, and then you push it again and it turns off. There is a double click delay. You can turn on the Alexa integration and some of the Home Assistant features. I don't have any of these, so I'm not going to be covering how this works, but as you can see, there is a short amount of, like, a really brief description below every single setting here, so you can get the most of it, and otherwise you just go ahead, head back here to the Bitbucket page and then read more of the details in the wiki. Now we need to go to the Wi-Fi, and we need to set up our home Wi-Fi network. So you actually have to type in your SSID and the password and everything. So let me just do that. So you type in the network ID and the Wi-Fi SSID and the password, and I just click on save. That's all. It says whether I want to reset it. I don't want to reset it for now. I would just want to finish all the settings. And now I need to provide, so I'm going to use MQTT, so I'm going to provide my MQTT details. And what I have noticed is I didn't put a root topic here, so it says the identifier, but it didn't work for me. So to make it work, I'm just going to put Sonoff 2 between slashes. I think you definitely need the first slash. So Sonoff, let's say slash Sonoff 2 slash, and we will see how it works in the in Node-RED. And then, by the way, you can also see some status here. Some messages here. What are the topics that are supported by the device once you have the MQTT enabled? So let's save again. And NTP, yeah, we can use the NTP, and settings, and the time offset is 1 hour. So I'm in CET, so my offset from GMT is 1 hour, so that's fine, and daylight saving time is good. And if you are using home automation systems like this one or InfluxDB, then you can change the settings here. I'm not going to do that, so and I don't know these systems, so I wouldn't know what these exact settings are. Probably you can find some videos and posts on that. And also, this database logging is some feature that I'm not going to use. Only other thing here is we can set the admin password here, and here we can enable the HTTP API. I'm going to enable that because there are two ways to interact with the Sonoff now with the ESPurna firmware. It's one via MQTT and the other one is going to be HTTP. So we are going to look at both of them. And for the HTTP connection, we will always need API key, which is here. So I'm going to save it for now. Good. And yeah, you can back up your setting, you can upgrade stuff here, so I'm not going to do any of this, so I'm going to save this as well. And did I save? Yeah. Okay. And I think that should be all. So now I can power cycle the Sonoff, and with the new settings it should connect to the Wi-Fi network and I should be able to access it from Node-RED. I've unplugged and plugged the Sonoff back again, and as you can see, well, first of all, the status LED is not blinking anymore like it did in the past, so it just blinks a few times, and then you don't see the Wi-Fi network either, so hopefully it is connected to my home Wi-Fi network and we should be able to access it. I have an app on my phone where I can look at all the devices that are connected to the Wi-Fi network, so I was able to figure out that the IP of this Sonoff is 192.168.1.129 in my specific case. So, and you can see that it's, well, obviously the ESPurna 199 framework, and if I press the button, you can see that the switch status is being updated and it's connected to oh, it's not connected to the MQTT service for some reason now, but as you can see, it has all the different settings, and I think, yeah, it has an uptime, and oh, it has the current time as well, so the NTP settings definitely work. So let's look at MQTT. Oh, and for some reason it failed to start the save the MQTT settings. And now we can see that the MQTT status is connected. So we are connected to the MQTT server, which is running on my Raspberry Pi, which is also running Node-RED. So now we are going to switch to Node-RED, and I'm going to show you how you can control your device using MQTT and using HTTP as well. Obviously, you don't have to use Node-RED, it's just easy to, I think it just gives a nice interface for me to present the various features of both of these ways of connecting with the ESPurna Sonoff. This is my simple flow in Node-RED. So first of all, I have an MQTT node which subscribes to anything which is /sonoff2/, so that's the same identifier that we have used here. So that's the root topic, and I've only included this so we can see all the different messages that are coming from the device. And I want to start with this because about every 10 minutes the device is going to publish its status to MQTT, and it's going to come in a form of multiple messages, and then you can see them on the screen. So in the root topic /app, it's going to just say that ESPurna, and the version is going to say the version, and the host is going to be the host name. So that's all that you can see in the settings, and then it shows the IP address, the MAC address, the RSSI, so that's the relative signal strength, which is always a negative value, the uptime, which, oh, I think this is an old one. It's an old feed, because that's probably, yeah, it's 300 minutes is probably a little bit too much. But anyway, so you will see the uptime and then some other things like the free heap, and that's pretty much it. And okay, sorry, no, the relay is 0, so that's the state of the relay, which is off when I power my cell phone, and the VCC, and then, yeah, that's it. So that was one set of statuses, and that's, again, it's being sent every 10 minutes. roughly 10 minutes. So this is what you would get even if you are not sending any messages to the Sonoff. So that's is being sent automatically. The way to control the relay is really simple. So you need you send a topic, send a message to a topic which is the root topic /relay/0/set. So it is 0 because there is only one relay in the Sonoff Basic. On the 4-channel one, there are 4 relays, so you can control the relays by relay 0, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Sorry, 0, 1, 2, and 3. And what you send in, you can send in 3 different values. You can send in 1, which obviously turns it on. And then you can send in 0, which it turns it off. And then you can send 2, which toggles between the different states. So if it was on, it switches it off, and vice versa. And by the way, you can see on the status LED that the status LED does not reflect the status of the relay. It's really just a general network status, so it just blinks whenever I guess it receives a message. So that's all about controlling the relay. And by the way, when you do that, every time you set the status, then you also get by subscribing to this root topic, you will always see a response message back, which is going to be like this. So we can see the message that I have sent out because I subscribe to the root. But every time you will get a second message as well, which is going to be the root topic /relay/0 in my case, and the value of 1 or 0, which is going to reflect the actual status of the relay. So that's all about MQTT. Now let's see how we can do it over HTTP as well. So if you are not using MQTT server, then again it is fairly simple. So it's http:// the IP address of your machine, of your Sonoff, /API/relay/0. So similar to what we have seen in the MQTT topics. And then now you need $API key. So that's the API key that you have seen on the configuration page, and then end value equals 0. So that's how you turn off the relay. To turn it on, really simple, it's pretty much the same. The only exception is that the value is 1 at the end, and we also have the toggle mode in HTTP, and again you are sending a value 2. So that's how you control it over MQTT. And there is one more function, which if you send just the API key with no if you send /API/relay0 and you just send the API key without the value, then you get a message back which is 0, which shows the current state of the relay. And if I turn it on and I do the status again, then the response is going to be 1. So that's how you can query the status via HTTP. That will be all about flashing the Sonoff Basic with the ESPurna firmware, doing the configuration, and then controlling it via MQTT and also the HTTP protocol. I hope you find this video useful. Thanks for watching, and hopefully see you in the next video.